It was the silence that said it all. Not the angry phone calls. Not the diplomatic press release. Not even the carefully worded statements from palace officials. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. No, it was the silence from William and Kate, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, that echoed loudest across oceans and time zones. And in that silence, a message was delivered far louder than any headline. We're not coming to Montecito, and we're not coming for you. For Harry and Meghan, already navigating the shaky ruins of public goodwill and once glittering celebrity status, this was more than a snub. This was an unmistakable blow to their relevance, their brand, and their hopes of redemption on home soil, or what they believed had become home. Now, imagine this. The future King and Queen of England are scheduled to land on U.S. soil for an international diplomatic tour, a tour packed with engagements, charity spotlights, and media attention. Cameras are poised. Press credentials are being distributed. American fans of the royal family are buzzing. And yet, no visit planned to Montecito. No warm family reunion. No carefully staged handshake with Harry and Meghan. No photo op for healing the monarchy. Just a tight-lipped, high-profile refusal, disguised in the polished language of royal diplomacy. This tour is about global issues, not private matters. Our focus is on charity and diplomacy. But the subtext? Crystal clear, we are done pretending. Why now? What led to such a public, calculated decision? And what was the breaking point? The final straw that made William and Kate cut off even the illusion of family unity. That's where our story begins. Because this isn't just about a tour. It's about betrayal. It's about trust shattered behind palace walls. It's about Meghan Markle's calculated media moves, Harry's desperate texts to his brother, and Kate's evolution from peacemaker to protector of the crown. And yes, it's also about power, who still holds it, and who's been pretending all along. But let's back up for a moment. Do you remember the last time William and Harry were in the same place? It was somber. Queen Elizabeth II's funeral. Two brothers, walking behind their grandmother's casket. A moment thick with grief, history, and forced civility. But even in their shared sorrow, the distance between them was impossible to ignore. No eye contact. No words exchanged. Just a gaping silence that foreshadowed what was to come. Many thought that grief might bring them together. They were wrong. In the months that followed, a storm was brewing behind palace doors and Montecito gates alike. Whispers of a second memoir. Meghan's alleged push for a reconciliation docuseries. A Christmas card that never arrived. And William's growing fear. What would Harry expose next? Because make no mistake, the royal family is no stranger to scandals. But betrayal from within? That's an entirely different kind of fire. And William? He's had enough of playing diplomat in a family war waged with microphones and ghostwriters. Sources close to the Cambridges confirm that the decision not to visit Montecito wasn't a knee-jerk reaction. It was strategic. Painful, yes. Especially for the Queen's legacy, but necessary. So why does this moment matter now? Because this is the first time William and Kate have publicly, officially, and unapologetically drawn a boundary. No more staged reunions. No more sugarcoating the rift. No more pretending that Harry and Meghan are still part of the inner circle. They're not. And the symbolism couldn't be more brutal. The most high-profile royal tour in the United States since the Sussexes relocated there. And William and Kate are refusing to visit their California compound. And the timing? Absolutely deliberate. According to an inside source, they want to reclaim the narrative in the U.S. They believe Harry and Meghan have twisted the public perception of the royal family here. And this trip is about setting the record straight, with class, without confrontation. But behind the class, behind the diplomatic smiles, lies a very personal pain. For William, the brother he once protected has become a wild-card liability. For Kate, the woman she once welcomed into the family has become a symbol of betrayal and hurt. And for the monarchy, the Sussexes represent an open wound that refuses to heal. Now let's ask the big question. What does this refusal to visit Montecito really signal? Is it just a simple tour agenda decision? Or is it the beginning of a new era? A line drawn in the sand? And what about the Sussexes themselves? Because when the news of the Cambridges' itinerary leaked, no Montecito in sight, reactions inside that luxurious California estate were anything but calm. According to sources close to the Sussex camp, Meghan was blindsided. She reportedly had plans, or at least hopes, for a public reconciliation moment, a chance to show the world we're still family, she told a confidant. But that opportunity vanished. Rejected. Shut down. And the way it was done? Cold. Clinical. Royal. And to make matters worse, this wasn't just a behind-closed-doors refusal. It was announced. Publicly. On record. The palace made sure there was no room for speculation, no softening of the truth. They will not be meeting with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex during this visit. Their focus is on official engagements. No anger. No drama. Just a hard, polished full stop. So where does that leave Harry? Some say he saw it coming. Others say he believed, foolishly. That time would soften his brother's heart. That behind closed doors, William would pick up the phone, say let's talk, and they could begin again. But that call never came. And as the royal jet prepares to land on U.S. soil, it carries with it not just regal purpose, but a very clear message. We're moving on without you. You might be wondering, could this be reversed? Could a last-minute change of heart, a dramatic behind-the-scenes phone call, or a quiet Montecito detour still happen? Unlikely. Very unlikely. Because sources reveal something far more chilling. This isn't just a tour snub. It's the first step in a complete royal freeze-out. A calculated move designed to slowly, but permanently, sever public association between the future of the monarchy and the California exiles. And when you hear what led up to this moment, the private conversations, the strategic decisions, the whispered warnings from royal insiders, you'll begin to see the full picture. Because William and Kate didn't just wake up one day and decide to erase the Sussexes from their travel plans. No, this took months of planning. And at the heart of it, a secret conversation between William and a senior royal aide that changed everything. A single moment that convinced him reconciliation was no longer possible, and that the cost of silence was far less than the cost of exposure. But what was said in that room? And why did it finally convince Kate, the one who once pleaded for peace, to say, enough? That's the next twist in the story. Because while the cameras may show smiling royals walking red carpets and shaking hands at charity galas, behind the scenes, a quiet war is being waged. In Montecito, it's not just being avoided. It's being erased. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What if a royal visit wasn't just about handshakes, speeches, and charity work, but instead, a silent, devastating statement that rewrites family history in real time? Because that's exactly what William and Kate's tour of the United States has become. Not just a goodwill mission, not just a polished PR move, but a carefully calculated turning point. One that draws a permanent line between duty and drama, between monarchy and Montecito. And in the middle of it all, two people watching from a sun-drenched California estate, hoping, waiting, and slowly realizing that no invitation is coming. Because this wasn't just a royal tour. It was a royal message. And for Harry and Meghan, that message was clear. You're no longer part of the plan. Let's rewind just a bit. News of William and Kate's U.S. tour broke quietly at first. A few headlines in the British press, whispers in royal circles, a formal statement buried inside a government press briefing. But those who paid attention noticed something immediately. The tour wasn't about family. It was about reputation. The royal brand had taken a beating in the U.S. in recent years. Oprah interviews, Netflix confessions, book deals, anonymous sources, screaming headlines. The crown had been dragged through the American media grinder. And who stood at the center of that chaos? Harry and Meghan. So it made perfect sense that William and Kate, still viewed as the monarchy's most reliable assets, would be the ones to restore order. To show a different side of royalty, dignified, focused, unshakable. The tour was set to include high-profile events, meetings with UN representatives in New York, appearances at climate innovation conferences, visits to children's hospitals, and receptions with U.S. government officials. A full plate of purposeful, apolitical engagement. But one glaring absence stood out. No mention of Montecito. No plans to see Harry and Meghan. No room in the calendar. Not even for a private dinner, a brief photo op, or a family brunch. The palace made sure of that. The official line? The Prince and Princess of Wales are focused on their ongoing global charity initiatives and diplomatic partnerships during this visit. But insiders knew better. They weren't too busy for the Sussexes. They were done with the Sussexes. And for many within the royal family, this tour was the final test, not of diplomacy, but of discipline. Could William and Kate maintain composure, knowing full well that every move would be interpreted as a statement on the fractured House of Windsor? Could they resist the bait of emotional confrontation, media speculation, and Meghan's well-known flair for stage redemption arcs? Could they show up, shine, and walk away without a single word to Montecito? That was the plan, and it was working until the phone calls began. Sources close to royal aides have confirmed. Meghan's team reached out first, softly, subtly. Hey, just wondering if there was space to connect while you're nearby, kind of outreach. But it wasn't just curiosity. It was strategy, because Meghan knows the power of optics. A single photograph, even staged, of William, Kate, Harry, and herself smiling at a dinner table could reset headlines for months. It could imply unity. It could suggest forgiveness. It could help promote whatever she was planning next. Be it a lifestyle brand, a documentary, or a new memoir installment. But this time, no one took the bait. William didn't respond. Kate stayed silent. And the message went through official palace channels. Their itinerary is final. There is no scheduled interaction with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex during this trip. Translation? We're not here for your narrative. And that refusal hit harder than any tabloid cover ever could. Because for the first time since the infamous Oprah interview, William and Kate weren't just reacting. They were leading the story, and the timing couldn't have been more poetic. The tour was announced just weeks before Meghan's team reportedly began shopping around a new documentary pitch focused on royal resilience. The plan? To share her side of the story, again, framed through the lens of motherhood, wellness, and advocacy. But the absence of her in-laws from the narrative? That would make it harder to sell, harder to spin, harder to draw in an audience tired of the same royal feud rehashed in different packaging. And that's when things started to shift. Because while the Sussexes scrambled behind the scenes to control the damage, William and Kate were already deep in preparation mode. The tour was built to be flawless. Not just visually, though every outfit, every smile, every step was choreographed with military precision. But emotionally, there would be no moments of hesitation, no fumbled questions, no awkward references to family challenges. Only purpose, charity, diplomacy, legacy. Every day of the schedule was packed. School visits, keynote speeches, private meetings with tech leaders and mental health advocates, ceremonial events with mayors and governors. All designed to show the world, and America in particular, what the future of the monarchy really looks like. And the unspoken line running through it all? It looks nothing like Montecito. For the Cambridges, this tour wasn't just about winning over the U.S. audience. It was about reclaiming the moral high ground. Because after years of being accused, criticized, and caricatured by their own family, William and Kate had stayed largely silent. They had absorbed the blows, smiled through the storms, shaken hands with grace while knives were being thrown from across the Atlantic. But now, they were stepping back into the spotlight. Not with a rebuttal, but with presence, with action, with dignity. And with that, something extraordinary happened. Americans started to notice. Comment sections on royal coverage began shifting. They seem more genuine, some wrote. At least they don't air their dirty laundry on camera. Kate has more class in her little finger. Even influencers and celebrities who once rallied behind Meghan's truth-telling began to back off, cautiously observing this polished, powerful tour unfold. And all the while, silence from Montecito. But not because nothing was happening there. Oh, things were happening. Inside the Sussex estate, according to a source close to former staff, it was like walking on eggshells. Meghan was furious. Harry was quiet, confused. You see, Harry, for all his public rebellion, still wanted to believe in the possibility of healing. He never truly burned the bridge in his heart. But William? William took the match. Because for him, this tour was a declaration: we have moved on. We've moved on from the scandal, from the betrayal, from the pity party, and most of all, we've moved on from pretending. The U.S. tour wasn't just an opportunity. It was a reset, a full-on cleansing of royal narrative, right there in the very country where it had been most stained. And the brilliance of it? They never once had to mention Meghan or Harry. Not by name, not even by implication, because their absence Their total erasure from the itinerary said more than any quote ever could. But what came next would take that silence and turn it into something much colder, something final. Because inside Kensington Palace, just before the tour began, a conversation took place. A private, high-stakes conversation between William, his most trusted aide, and Kate herself. And what was said in that room would change the future of royal family dynamics forever.